Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Ninjutsu podcast. This one is a little different. My name is Don Rowley. Um, Basically, what I want from my viewers or people that follow me on social media is to tell me what type of things related to IT you think you would appreciate if explained in a very simple manner. You see, the thing is that I'm coming out with an ebook available on Kindle Unlimited called Cyber-Ninjutsu. Now, you might think that it's hacking, but, well, no, kind of. If you got my book on modern ninjutsu, I basically say that anyone that wanted to claim to be a modern ninja would have to be like a power user for computers. They would have to be able to use Windows, be able to use Macintosh, be able to use Android, and just know things more than most people. Kind of in the same way how I said that, if you wanted to drive, you would know how to use a stick transmission as well as an automatic transmission. Anyone that would be a modern ninja would like to be able to use all the tools available to them. And let's face it, most people don't use 90% of what's on their computer. They don't know how to use Task Manager if they're on a Windows machine. In any machine, they probably can't use a terminal or command line. So I'm kind of putting together, again, this book where part of it is going to be like explaining basic things to get you up to speed so you can start using things, and then point you to directions where you can read, once you know the basic terminology and stuff, you can go to Kindle Unlimited books and videos on YouTube and other free resources to get more background if you want. But this book was basically built on the foundation of, a few years ago I started getting to IT. They presumed a lot of stuff that, I start a course and I'm certified in a few things related to IT, Network Plus and Security Plus, if you know. They kind of presumed a lot of information that I had to go back and really study on my own and get mentors to explain to me. And I still remember that, so I'm writing that for somebody that would be in my position and wants to really learn kind of the darker side of using IT, again, the ninja. And, I've done pretty good, but if there's something that you think, oh, damn, I wish somebody had just explained to me like I was 10 years old, please tell me. Actually, most 10-year-olds probably already know this stuff. That's the way it is. I used to program the VCR from my parents back in the day. Now I kind of know how it is when my kids tell me, how to figure out a Python program. Anyways, so aside from that section of the book, I'm going to have a huge section on laying the foundations for OSINT. There's a lot of good books about OSINT, but again, presumes knowledge. One of the best ones basically is done by a former FBI agent, and he automatically just assumes that you can just spin up a VM and run a custom version of Linux on it. Okay, so kind of need to work up to that. But OSINT is basically finding general information on the internet and elsewhere. It's actually very effective. So I'm putting a lot of things on search engine is basically being able to use search engines better, safety while searching for stuff. Things like that. Not the most complete thing, but basically will get you to a higher level. And I'm also putting a section in on social engineering. And, that social engineering is basically conning people. It's calling people up and getting their passwords through various things. Or just, manipulating them to do things that they shouldn't, that allows people to get, personal information or access to bank accounts, things like that. And in that respect, I actually have a funny story I wrote it just the other day about how one of my stalkers, Ron Collins, the guy we call the pedo bear because he likes them young, had his entire phone account taken over. And he was thinking that it was hacked, but no, his phone was hacked. No. He basically fouled up on OPSEC, operational security. And it's pretty obvious from the way he was complaining that he had been a victim of social engineering and he had no idea what was going on. I mean, it's hysterical. We're not talking the brightest bulb out there. He's, this is the guy that basically put up videos of himself after he lied on an FFL form of firing a firearm, several ones. So it took less than 2 hours for the jury to convict him, because he was a mental patient. But that's it. That's coming out, and it will come out when it is ready and not before. And before I, actually, finish it, I want people to tell me, this is something that maybe you understand it now, but it was really hard to understand because you couldn't find anything that didn't presuppose that you'd been working on a Commodore 64 back in the 80s, things like that. Because, I remember what it was like, a few years ago when I was having to go up against, first thing, SQL injections. Well, what's SQL? Found out what SQL is. I've gone back and I've learned things. And again, this book is going to be like on the darker side. So it's going to be like, as soon as I teach what packets on the internet are, I'm going to talk about Wireshark and reading packets. And then tell you where to find how to use Wireshark. So that's it for this week. I'll be back again with my regularly scheduled program, but please help me out. If there's something that you would want to be explained, or something that you would have wanted explained back in the day, please let me know. And I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.